Okay, we're back, and we're looking at the book of Revelation, actually the revelation of Jesus Christ to Christians who live in Asia. And I am the Alpha and Omega. This is verse 11. I am, and this is in red right here. You can see it very clearly, so you know for sure that Jesus is talking. I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. What thou seest in a book, what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia. Now this was back in the days when there were only 7 churches in Asia. Now there are thousands of churches in Asia. There are churches all over the Asian world. And there are several Asian churches in America. These are churches that speak perhaps Korean or Chinese, Vietnamese, Filipino. They're Asian churches, and this message is for them. But we can still use the principles that are in these letters to the Asian churches, the Asian Christians. But this business of seeing something and writing it in a book, so many people have used this to justify false religions such as the Mormons, because Joseph Smith found something, a book of a stone that allowed him to see things. He called them seeing stones, and then he wrote a book, and it was called the Book of Mormon. And this was basically like his Bible. And in this Bible, the Book of Mormon, there's an angel called Moroni who is essentially a counterfeit Christ. And he blows a trumpet, and this is a counterfeit to God. Michael the Archangel has a trumpet. Well, this isn't Michael the Archangel, this is Moroni. And just take a look at the word Moroni. It's not anywhere in the Bible. You will never find the word, the name, the term Moroni in the Bible. But this business of Joseph Smith seeing something and writing something in a book is simply nonsense, because he did not get that revelation from God. This revelation comes from God. This is from God. I know that because it's in red. And I know that Joseph Smith, if you read the Book of Mormon, there is no red ink in the Book of Mormon. And the doctor could probably, the good doctor Kotrain can attest to that, being an expert in biblical languages and manuscripts. Is I correct about that, doctor, with the Book of Mormon?
I've never seen any red ink in the Book of Mormon. I can attest to that. But I've never really looked at the Book of Mormon.
Now,
as far as reading it.
Now here's something else here. We go on here on chapter number 1, Revelation chapter 1. Now that's verse 12. And John, the Apostle John says, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me. Now spake is an old English term for spoke. And I turned to see the voice that spoke with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. And his head and his hairs were like white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. Okay. Now, as a scientist, doctor, I think, and as an expert in biblical manuscripts and ancient religious texts, can you help clarify what this means? I mean, we're talking about 7 candlesticks. He's wearing a girdle. This does not mean that Christ is a cross-dresser. Christ is not trying to dress up like a woman just because he wears a girdle. This sword is coming out of his mouth. This sounds to be very odd. It sounds to be very fantastical and science fictionish. But it is not, in fact, because it is describing Christ in literal terms. Can you understand, or help us understand this from a Christian scientific point of view?
Yeah, I can.